Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Elite Racing Network for the 2022B Mrs. Goody's Grand National Series coming at you live from Nashville Superspeedway here. It's going to be a night race, not a day race. So we should see some pretty quick lap times, have a good amount of grip out here. It is a concrete surface, something we don't get a whole lot of, and none really at this size of racetrack. So should be interesting to see what happens. We are in the middle of round number 2, I believe is what round this is. Yeah, middle of round 2 here. RC, Scott, Tyler Fody looking pretty good to advance. Latham's right there. Tate Lytle, Chad Frankenfield, Garrison Hogan, Ethan Stanley, Gerald Campbell are the guys that are all trying to get through to race for a championship here in just a couple weeks. And last season, we ended the season here. Josh Adams went winless all season, pointed his way to the Final Four, and then went ahead and won this last race to win the championship. So should be an exciting race. I know Josh is a little disappointed that this isn't for the championship this year, but nonetheless, he doesn't have a dog in this title fight this season. Joining me in the booth tonight is Robert Hill Jr. here, and qualifying's just wrapping up here in the next 30 seconds. Robert, what are you expecting to see tonight here from Nashville Superspeedway?
Yeah, good evening, Chris. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Nashville Superspeedway. I'm looking forward to a night of guys trying to put their name into that final round of the playoffs here. Garrison Hogan just jumped to the top of the boards here. So that's going to be an interesting front row if this Tyler Fody now saying no, sir, as he goes to the top. But I'm looking forward to this one tonight, Chris. We have 113 laps here tonight, 3 sets of tires in our fuel window. Well, Josh didn't tell us tonight, so we don't know. But it is going to be an interesting race here as these guys are on the grid now. We'll pull that up here. And Chris, you can walk us through this top 10.
Yeah, looks like out front here for qualifying, we're going to have Tyler Fody, Garrison Hogan, Jay Canor, Scott Crump, and Chad Frankenfield rounding out the top 5. Then we have Ethan Stanley, Wyatt Canadal, Brandon Key, Tyler Pop, and Jeff Green rounding out the top 10 starting spots here tonight.
Yeah, just outside the top 10, we have Matthew Weeks, Brandon Ultra there in row number 6. Row number 7, Josh Adams, Trey Holmes, followed by Kwame Scott, Dustin Dewar, Jesse Rasmus, Gerald Campbell, Josh Smith, and Michael Goodman rounding out the top 20 here tonight at Nashville.
Yeah, then we've got Alex Gray, Michael Klein, David Tooker, Tate Lytle, Harrison Talon, Michael Hosack, and RC Enerson. RC hit the wall there in qualifying, is what I was being told, and doesn't look like a great lap for Tooker. Tate Lytle, a lot of these Pro Edge guys starting at the back there. You got any inside scoop on that, Robert?
I unfortunately do not have any information as to why they may be at the back here, um, Chris, but it'll be interesting to see what they can do to work their way up towards the front here. As grid time is winding down here, I'm not seeing. Now we see Tyler Fody. Garrison Hogan's still not out there. But it's going to be interesting to see guys like R.C. Anderson. Look at how far back he has to come. And he has not had a good playoffs in any series. He missed a few races on the Cup side, missed a few races on the truck side. And now this is his final hope, I do believe, here in the Grand National Series. And like Chris mentioned earlier, the points, he is sitting in a fairly
Yeah,
good spot
yeah,
there,
that's good
41
news there for
ahead.
RC right there. Like you just said, he ain't missing this one unless he just doesn't show up.
Absolutely. He is 41 points ahead, so that should make it interesting for him. And Chris, while we are finishing up the grid here, we did make some race picks prior to this, so why don't you go ahead and let us know who you think is going to be the victor here tonight?
Well, real quick here before we get into our race picks, I want to give a shout out to all our sponsors, everybody at Elite Racing Network, Dave Huckleberry on down here at the ERN. None of this happens without him. Dave does a great job taking care of us. Of course, Chad Frankenfield, all that he does with Elite, all the different races. This is the Mrs. Goodies Grand National Series, so give a shout out to everybody at Mrs. Goodies. They have hooded towels and handmade items for babies, kids, you, and your home, and you can find them on Facebook. TA Services for over 36 years. TA Services has been a trusted domestic and international full-service third-party logistics provider offering freight brokerage, managed transportation, warehousing fulfillment, and cross-border logistics services to shippers around the globe. Blue Egg Marketing. They are the marketing department for small business. And Britzy Cam. Britzy is a venture-backed tech company based in Toronto and Boston, and they're on a mission to reimagine the group photo experience. And as for my race pick, I am going to take Josh Adams, the winner from last year.
That is definitely a solid pick with Josh Adams here. Just a quick update, Garrison Hogan has been given an EOL going to the back of the pack for a banner violation. So he's going to join those Pro Edge guys at the back, as well as Brandon Key falling to the rear. He had a nice qualifying effort, but my pick here tonight, it's actually telling me that the green flag's out. That does not appear to be the case. As the
I believe they extended it so they could get some EOLs. This is a track that's just a little bit bigger than what you need for one pace lap, or for two. Like it only has one pace lap, like the mile and a half, but this track is not quite a mile and a half. So getting everybody gathered up here for the start, it's a little bit difficult.
Absolutely. Another driver going to the rear here, Ethan Stanley. Another one of those top 10 qualifiers gone to the rear. My race pick here tonight is a driver that's missed a few races over the last few weeks among all the series here, making his return tonight. I'm going to go with David Tooker in the 19 machine. He's going to have to work his way up from 22nd, but he's definitely got the skill to do so. And Dave Huckleberry is going to be operating our race control here tonight, and I do not remember who his pick to win was.
I'm not sure he gave us a pick to win. I'm not sure if
he definitely did, and I don't know who it was, but lights are off on the pace car here. Pace car is going to make that sharp left-hand turn, and we'll hand it over to Barney the flagman to get us underway here, Chris.
That's right. Fode's going to bring him down, starting on the bottom. Green flag is out. Good jump for Fode. And just to give you a little update here on the fuel situation, I think they'll be able to go between 60 and 70 laps, right in that range, 65. So this should be a one-stopper if it stays green.
One-stop race definitely makes it an interesting strategy for these guys. Just as we work on getting our tower updated here. There we go. We got some gaps up on the screen now. Scott Crump did start on the outside of the front row. He's now back into third. Chad Frankenfield looking at his inside. A couple Christmas schemes out here tonight, Chris. I don't know if you noticed those. Chad's got a nice one here, as well as Jeff Green running those Christmas colors. Dustin Durr back here, and Michael Goodman as well in those plaid cars. But Tyler Fode currently a race leader with Jay Kaner in second.
Yeah, we've seen Chad every holiday comes up. He has got some kind of special scheme. My only thing is I'm surprised that he is running the Christmas scheme this week and not something for the Indy 500 that's going to take place later this Friday. And that is basically Christmas for Chad, I believe.
Yeah, that's pretty much Christmas for Chad here. As we're watching Wyatt Knadel, he had a little bit of a slip up there. Now he's falling back behind Jesse Rasmus. Josh Adams now stuck behind him. And that's Gerald Campbell now, and Tate Lytle right there in the picture as well. So Wyatt Knadel falling through the field as a driver like Trey Holmes moves his way up 7 spots already here on lap number 3.
Ooh, Gerald gets the wall there a little bit.
Yeah, Gerald Campbell, you can see a little bit of right rear damage on his machine here. In just a moment, we'll grab that. But Gerald looking okay here as he races side by side with Kwame Scott in the 22. Kwame making his return to this series after missing a few weeks, and so far so good for Kwame there in the 16th spot, slow and steady for him.
Yeah, not slow and steady though is Tate Lytle is flying through this field after starting 24th.
Yeah, Tate Lytle and R.C. Anderson right here up 11 and 12 spots respectively. Those guys were at the tail of the field working their way up, and now with Kwame Scott lined up with them and Josh Adams just ahead, that is a really fast train. That's a freight train coming through here momentarily as they look ahead to Jesse Rasmus, Tyler Pop, and Dustin Brewer up ahead. These guys are definitely going to want to make quick work of them and work their way up to the front here as we are on lap number 6 of the Nashville 150 here at the Nashville Superspeedway.
Yeah, and it's getting strung out. If I do remember last year in this championship race, there's a lot of green flag racing. We had the one caution right at the other end of the pit stops, and it basically evened everybody back out. So I am very curious to see if we see a mostly green race once again.
That is definitely going to be something to watch, Chris, for sure, as this track is fairly
Oh,
wide.
contact, heavy contact. Dustin Dewar hit the wall, and Josh Adams hit Dustin Dewar. I think both those cars are pretty destroyed.
Looking at the nose there on the Adams machine, you can see a gap between the hood and the nose, and heavy rear end damage on Dustin Dewar's machine there, as those two, like you mentioned, heavy damage here very early on. Obviously, they can work on that on pit stops, but if this does go green, that may affect them majorly, as this typically will cause some overheating issues and potentially some steering issues as well, depending on how heavy that damage really is on those cars. But unfortunate early on for Adams and Dewar, but these guys will continue on like the professionals they are.
Yeah, I have a feeling Josh is going to tell me after this is over not to pick him again, but it looked like they're off of 4. Dustin Dewar got up into the fence. Josh was right behind him. Didn't have time to react and hit him.
As you can see the nose.
And Gerald's back in the fence again.
As you could briefly see the nose there moments ago on Adams' machine, that nose damage definitely heavier than it looks from these television cameras, as Gerald almost gets turned there by Michael Goodman. There he is turning.
Oh, he's spinning into the grass. Not going to get a caution if he doesn't come back up onto the racetrack.
Gerald Campbell has wrecked here on the back straightaway. We'll send that to the Whiskey Cast replay, just briefly get another look at that. We did see it live, but unfortunately, contact between Gerald Campbell and Michael Goodman kind of looks like a bit of each of them going the same way, ending up together.
I think that's Goodman definitely missing the corner. He just missed the corner.
And then he actually got a little bit of help from Garrison Hogan there as well. But, yeah, Gerald Campbell unfortunately does go for a little bit of a spin on the back straightaway. He has continued on, but that gap to the leaders is not going to be too large. It's actually Chad Frankenfield now gets past Jay Kaner and Jeff Green to be right on the bumper of Tyler Fode for the race lead here in his Christmas machine. Maybe Chad had something in the stocking that gave him a little bit of an extra boost here tonight, as Tyler Fode has a bit of company.
Yeah, I'm curious if Tyler Fode is just riding or if he's racing. It'll be very interesting to see. But Gerald Campbell has been in the wall a few times and now spun. Like, that's not the start he was looking for. Of course, we mentioned some of the other guys having issues, but so far, well, actually, Gerald Campbell's a playoff guy, too. He came into this pretty well under the cut line, almost in a must-win. And now, for sure, going into next week, he is going to be in a must-win.
Yeah, Gerald Campbell there, as you can see, in the 26th position. He is 19.5 seconds behind the race leaders. And these lap times are about 30 seconds long. So that means he is only about 10 seconds ahead of the race leader. If he continues to have the struggles he's had, he may be just a few laps away from going a lap down early on here. But the good thing for Gerald is there is a fair bit of a gap between himself and Brandon Key, so he should be able to hold on to that spot and hope for a yellow. But like you mentioned earlier, Chris, we may not see that yellow flag tonight.
Well, and at this point, that car's so hurt that even if he gets a yellow, he is not going to salvage this thing to a good finish. This isn't a short track where a bunch of guys are going to get damaged or we're going to get under the end and wreck a bunch of cars. I just think that at this point, with all the damage on that car, he's going to try to salvage what he can. Obviously, he's not going to give up. But
no, absolutely.
Being in the playoffs and everything, he's got bigger fish to fry. He is already thinking about being in a must-win. And, oh, by the way, it's going to be Bristol. You know, that's the last race in the round, and he is going to have to win Bristol to advance.
And we're definitely not saying that a driver like Gerald Campbell can't pick up a victory at Bristol and lock himself into the championship final. He's done it before, and he can do it again, but it's definitely making it a lot harder for him. It's just looking a little further back in the field. Garrison Hogan is falling now, 20 positions down. He was up a fair bit earlier on, but now finds himself back in the 22nd position. As you can remember, he did qualify on the front row, but was sent to the rear for a banner violation, meaning that he had to start at the rear of Michael Klein and Michael Hosak right there. The Michaels grabbing a piece of the wall.
You know what? You know what I think, Robert? I think they're pushing off a 4, and they're thinking they got that wall must be really sneaking up on them the way these cars are driving. So that's the 4th or 5th car I've seen just drive right out into the wall like they didn't know that they were going to hit it.
Yeah, so right on board here with Tyler Fody. You can see right there, even for a guy like Tyler Fody, that wall creeps up on you fairly quickly. You know, like I mentioned, Tyler Fody is one of the better drivers in this field, and even he's getting close to that outside wall.
Yeah, and when you're pushing like that too, like sometimes it pushes just a little bit more one time, or you think you know, it's real easy to think you've got the room, and oh, there's a lot of room between me and the wall, and then the next thing you know, you're in it.
Absolutely, and actually we're looking back here at Brandon Key and Alexander Gray. Brandon Key, as we saw right here, has a bit of nose damage, so he was involved in an incident as well. But like you mentioned, it is getting a little bit tighter for these guys as well. We're 18 laps in, and this track actually does not carry you through the corners as well as you would think it would. So you are putting a lot of load on those tires and wearing them out rather quickly if you're not careful. Guys like Fody and Frankenfield up here, they're very good at conserving their tires. So, oh, Jeff Green, heavy contact with the wall right there.
Again, off of turn 4.
Absolutely, as Scott Crump's going to look to his inside, try to work his way back up into the top 4 towards a podium spot here on lap number 19. But we're seeing a lot of action here, a lot of guys getting real close to that wall and making things rather interesting for those around them here. R.C. Anderson now going to the bottom of Jesse Rasmus, right behind Tyler Pop, and I believe that's Tate Lytle. Yes, it is. This is a battle for position number 11 here. So R.C. Anderson continuing his climb up 14 spots, 15 now, as he gets the spot over Rasmus, and Tate Lytle also up 15 spots. They are our biggest movers thus far, with Brandon Key as the biggest drop so far, down 16 spots. It's actually a tie with Garrison Hogan. So those guys have a bit of work to do if they want to get back up towards the front here tonight, as Chad Frankenfield continues to chase down Tyler Fody. And Tyler Fody's just doing a great job holding that gap.
Yeah, and one thing I want to hit on there, you talked about him a little bit when he took that spot from Jeff Green and Scott Crump. Scott, I know you and I have had the conversation up here a lot about his internet, and we all said, you know, once he gets his internet fixed, he's a fast guy. He's going to be a guy that runs at the front every week once that gets straightened out. And at this point, it's old news because it's been fixed for a while, and he is just proving that true. He won. It seems like I'm seeing that he wins an elite race every week. He won the truck series last night. Now he's out here again, running top 4, looking like he's catching Jay Canora. That's a guy that's going to be a real threat, just not the rest of this season, but moving forward as well.
Absolutely. Scott Crump, again, you just mentioned, he has gotten his internet fixed up a fair bit, and it's giving him the opportunity to compete even more. Scott has always been one of the quickest drivers here in Elite, but he's never been able to put the full season together just due to the blinking issues that he's experienced that has caused him to get EOLs going to the back, having to move out of the way for guys, even though he is quicker. But now that he has that fixed up, like you mentioned, he's winning every single week.
Yeah, and
again, Chris, I mean, he is currently in a playoff spot, 15 points to the good. So a race like this, if he can finish this off, obviously still very early, this will be another great point stay for Scott Crump and set him up for a nice run next week at Bristol and then on to the championship final in a few weeks. And Scott Crump's a guy that I don't think we can count out if he can make it there.
yeah, I mean, it's he's going to be a tough out. Like, these boys, if he has to race, you know, I mean, we're looking at RC. He's pretty much locked in. I think Fody locked himself in, right? Because he won.
Tyler Fody is locked in. Those in green are officially locked in, and the only one in green officially is Tyler Fody. But again, as we'll actually bring up the points once again, R.C. Anderson basically is locked in. Obviously, a lot can still go wrong to knock him out. I hope it doesn't for his sake, but he is 41 points to the good. Scott Crump 15 to the good, and then there's a nice battle. Latham Joyner 2 in, Tate Lytle 2 out, and then it's 4 out for Frankenfield. He's made up that gap and more here, currently running second. And then 7 points out is Garrison Hogan. He's running 17th, so that's even further out. While Ethan Stanley is in 14th. He's 18 points out. And Gerald Campbell having a miserable night tonight, 22 points out. So this definitely does not help him. But this points race is going to be very interesting after we get out of here tonight.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say RC and Fody, they're going to be racing for a championship.
Absolutely. Scott Crump now battling Jay Kaner.
You do not like that. That's those three, and then you throw in whoever you want as your fourth. Would be pretty stout Final Four.
Any driver in this field, Chris, in this chase field, would be an incredible driver to add as that fourth to the final round. But I definitely think guys like Scott Crump and R.C. Anderson, Tyler Fody, they are all on hot streaks right now. So they're going to be ones definitely to watch as we continue on in the playoffs here. But Scott Crump looking real good right now.
Yeah, and one thing too, with Fody getting the win unlocked in, with the possibility, the most likely scenario being RC locks in as well when this thing's over on points tonight, before we even get to next week. It's a win and you're in type deal. There's 2 races left to throw the checker flag, this one and next week. So these guys know I'm a Tate Lytle. I know, like, man, the only way I'm going to really feel good is if I win. Because if not, you're going to go in there and it's going to be a slugfest at Bristol. Bristol's not a place I would want to go and have to be points racing.
Absolutely not. Bristol is one of those tracks that can really go great for you or absolutely horribly wrong. And I would not want to have to depend on a good finish at Bristol to advance, that's for sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of things about Bristol that we don't know is going to happen. You never know what's going to happen, but one thing we do know is carnage will happen.
Absolutely no doubt about that. As we actually saw, I believe it was Connie Scott got a piece of the wall. This is a little bit of a battle here with the Michaels. Michael Klein, Michael Hosak, and they just need Michael Goodman in here to make this a real battle. They do have a do-good car there in Dustin Dewar, but he's not having a very good night with his damage. This is way back there in the 20th spot.
Yeah, and there's some frustrations going on with those drivers as well right now. Not happy with the amount of room. They feel like they're not getting their battle for that 20th spot.
Yeah, it's definitely been a little tight from what I've seen. Guys pinching each other and making things a little...
Oh, another one in the wall.
Dustin Dewar once again. That car has to be feeling the effects of these hits at this point, as he's going to let Michael Hosak by. I don't know if he's actually letting him by or if the car is kind of forcing him to let him by. Josh Smith right behind him now. This has not been a good night for Dustin Dewar, who we actually saw take a victory last Monday night in the Stella's Toy Drive charity event here on the Elite Racing Network. Just a quick update from race control. That hit in the outside wall we saw just a few minutes ago was in fact R.C. Anderson. So even the pros getting the outside wall here.
I would imagine RC doesn't look like he hit it too terribly hard because he's not falling through the field as much as some of these other guys are.
He's not looking like he's feeling it at all as he makes a pass on Trey Holmes here to move up into the 7th spot.
Jeff Green was running 3rd or 4th when he hit the wall, and ever since he hit the wall, his lap times have fallen off. He's really struggling. He's lost a lot of spots. About to fall out of the top 10, so Jeff got his money's worth when he got up there and hit it.
My apologies, RC did not hit the wall. That was actually Dave Huckleberry's race pick. So Dave Huckleberry, that might not be too bad of a pick, as RC is up 19 spots from his starting position here.
Now wait a minute, so you're telling me Dave just now made a pick after we've already had cars hitting the wall?
No, I just read the message.
I was going to say, because that's not, that doesn't seem very, very fair for us. We pick these things at the pace lap, and then we have to watch our picks go out and hit something, and Dave just waits until that initial carnage happens, and he's like, all right, I think I'm going to pick this guy.
Absolutely. Just a quick note, it does appear Gerald Campbell's about 3 seconds ahead of our race leader. You can actually see him off in the distance here as we ride on board with Tyler Fody. You see that thing getting a little bit tight on Fody now, as well as the tires are starting to feel the wear. As Dave Huckleberry pokes a little jab at me in the race control here. But Gerald Campbell just ahead of the race leaders here and should be going a lap down in a few moments' time, meaning that we might get a little bit of action here.
Yeah, right now Tyler Fody is the fastest thing in Tennessee.
Absolutely. Tyler Fody looking real good out here as we see Garrison Hogan make a pass on Brandon Ultra. That's for position number 15. So Hogan slowly starting to work his way back up, but still a lot of work to do. Just behind him is Josh Adams, still feeling the effects of that damage. You can see his nose basically just hanging on there with a large gap between the nose cone and the hood on that number 56 machine. So not a good night for Josh Adams. As we do look through the field and looking to see who is our quickest car in Tennessee, as you said. And it does appear to actually be Chad Frankenfield with the quickest time, but Tyler Fody's making it work over a long term. 30.80 for Frankenfield to Fody's 30.84. So not too much of a difference. The times are actually fairly close throughout the entire field here, as we'll bring that up on our scoring tower here, just so you can all take a look as well and see what we're seeing as we work to get
Seeing
that up.
the Christmas season here right now. I think we want to hear a Christmas carol. You got one, Robert?
Jingle bells, jingle bells. No, that's the rest of the song.
Oh, man.
That's all I got. What you got, Chris?
We might not want to do that again. We'll be sending people away.
We just dropped to -10 viewers. Tyler Fody continues to lead this thing by 1.5 seconds over Frankenfield. Crump is actually running down Frankenfield now, about 0.4 of a gap between those two. Is Gerald Campbell now just off in the distance from your race leader. Alexander Gray just ahead of him, so we are getting into some lap traffic. It's a bit of a gap up to Brandon Key, and then a fair bit up to Josh Smith. But lap traffic may play a little part here, and I think that would especially be in that second and third position where the lap cars may end up playing more of a part than they will on Tyler Fody, as those two should be battling by the time that they do get to Gerald Campbell. Alexander Gray has entered pit road, so one less lap car for them to deal with.
Yeah, and Alex Gray might be pitting here. He might not be having the run he wants, but I bet he is still grinning from ear to ear. After the goings-on yesterday afternoon with the Bengals and Chiefs game, I don't think you'll be able to wipe that smile off of Alex's face this week, no matter what.
Man, there's some crazy football action this past weekend, that's for sure, especially yesterday. As you see here, Chad Frankenfield and Scott Crump battling for the second position, making things a little interesting here. We also have a great battle back here once again between the Michaels, but we'll head back up to Frankenfield and Scott Crump, where they continue to put on a show. Actually, Chris, just briefly, it is all the Michaels now. We have Hosack, Klein, and Goodman up there. I'm sorry. I guess it was the wrong flag car. I'm very sad now.
Almost. You were almost.
I got the right team.
Right now, we got Chad right now racing.
Josh Adams coming down pit road here. He is probably going to get some of that damage fixed, see what he can do with his number 56 machine. Alexander Gray's pit time was 1 minute, so he definitely got some damage fixed on his machine as well. As you see, Tyler Fody continuing to lead over Chad Frankenfield, Scott Crump, Jay Kaner, and Matthew Weeks, the top 5. Tate Lytle up 18 spots there in the 6th position. R.C. Anderson up 19 spots to 7th, and David Tooker up 15 spots to 8th, so a lot of gains there in the 6th through 8th position. And Trey Holmes, Tyler Popp rounding out the top 10. Brandon Key next up to come down pit road here in his number 16 machine. He was not too far ahead of the race leaders, so that was not too unexpected here. As you can see, Gerald Campbell now in the picture with Tyler Fody. Fody should be putting him a lap down here very shortly.
Oh, contact with Crump and Frankenfield.
Scott Crump able to gather it up on the apron. Ooh, things might be a little hairy right here as these guys battle back through. We'll see if we can pull that up on the Whiskey Cast replay. See what happened here with Chad Frankenfield and Scott Crump. This should be the image we're looking for. As you can see, Scott Crump in the 90 just behind Frankenfield. Looks like Chad starts braking well before Scott Crump, and Crump just gets into the rear of Chad here. Sends Chad for a bit of a slide, comes back down into the side of Crump. Crump continues into the grass while Chad comes back
Watch
up
this,
onto
though.
the track.
Crump's going to come up and get Weeks. Or not Crump, Chad.
Back that up. Yeah, you can see it right here. Chad does get into the side of Matthew Weeks there and cause a bit of damage to the 11. So I am going to assume that we have quite a bit of angry drivers out here right now. This will move Matthew Weeks up to second, Tate Lytle third, Jake Kaner remains in fourth, R.C. Anderson fifth, David Tooker, Chad Frankenfield able to maintain in seventh, Trey Holmes in eighth, Kwame Scott in ninth, Scott Crump there in 10th, with Jeff Green and Tyler Popp just behind him. Those guys battling for the 11th position. This could get very
one
interesting.
Thing here, you said that there was angry drivers. They're very heated, but I think that was just racing. I think, Chad went down there and missed his line just a little bit. Scott thought maybe he was going to miss it a little bit more than he did, was just going to try to feed to the bottom of the line. He never quite got underneath him and just kind of hit him in the left rear. I don't think it was intentional, but needless to say, it was frustrating. But I do believe we have a driver who has requested to come up here and sit in with us for a little bit, and his night has ended early, so let's bring up Josh Adams here. Josh, not the night you were hoping for in your defense of the race win, and of course winning the championship here last year, but now you get to join us up here in the booth and talk a little bit about the goings-on on the racetrack.
Yeah, there was a lot that just happened.
Yeah, that's an understatement. We were trying to cover it all, but curious to see if that damage is going to affect the 15 and the 90. What is your take there on what happened between those two? And, of course, Matthew Weeks as well, one of your team cars there, corporate teammates, got some damage in that as well.
Yeah, I haven't seen what happened, but two of the cars at least look pretty beat up, so I think the 15 and the 90 be struggling to the end.
Well, you were out there. You got the race on this racetrack. Is it pretty tight? There's a lot of guys that have been struggling, especially off of 4. We've seen multiple guys hit the wall off of 4, and are the cars really tight right there, just pushing out to hit that wall, or?
I mean, it's probably, they would probably tell you it's tight. I mean, not going to say it's not, but I think most of that is guys just overdriving it.
Do you think anybody's going to be able to have anything for that 40 car here before the end of this race?
I think so. I mean, if they re-rack them with a caution, looking down through the order, I'm sure the the guys that are right behind him, the 11, the 2, 50, probably all have something for him. Maybe even David.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how this shakes out. We should be closing in on some green flag stops there. We were hoping you'd be able to get yourself fixed. We saw that little issue there with you, and just too much damage. It hurt the car. Just too bad to continue on. Just going to load up and head to Bristol next week and try to go and spoil these playoff guys trying to win.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping to try and do tonight, but
I think Fody... no, I thought he was coming down.
I couldn't out-qualify guys that I should out-qualify, and that put me in a bad spot early. But yeah, that's my fault. So
Yeah, so you're going to stick around here with us for the rest of this race and give us input on things and whatnot, or do you got somewhere you need to be?
if you want me to stick around, Chris, I'll stick around with you.
All right, it looks like we're going to have Josh Adams for the rest of the night as Tate Lytle has just gotten around Matthew Weeks, who his car appears to be okay after that contact there that he got with Chad Frankenfield. Doesn't appear to be hurting his car any.
Gerald gets the wall once again, Chris. It seems like every few laps we're saying about the 31 machine. Gerald not having a good night here whatsoever.
Yeah, I'd say Gerald's hit that wall more than anybody so far tonight.
Yeah, I do believe you are correct there. He's beaten that right side up a fair bit on the number 31 machine. It's not looking too good, and I think his crew might be a little angry as they'll have to go to work to fix that thing when he comes down pit road again.
Yeah, and like Josh mentioned there, Chad Frankenfield, Scott Crump are almost back together. They both were mad at each other.
Yeah, as you
What's
see
your
Scott
take here?
Crump.
You guys think we're going to see some more contact?
I think it depends if Chad gets the proper entry here, or if Scott just wants him out of the way. But you can look here. Scott looks like he's ooh. They almost made contact right there.
It looked like a little brake check into 3, and then he just said, "I'm going to run you way up high here." I think we're going to get a caution. Think we're going to get a caution, Josh?
I think Chad knows it. He's messing up his entries.
Yeah, Scott's in his head now. Oh, he's blocking him too. This ain't gonna end well, boys.
Oh, is he gonna get into the back of him? Man, I don't think this is gonna end well for the 90.
No, someone's going to end up in the wall here. Jesse Rasmus just came down pit road from the 15th spot. But as you can see here, Chad Frankenfield, Scott Crump, and Jeff Green all under a blanket. Crump and Frankenfield, as we know, got into an incident not too long ago here. And it looks like the blood is still hot here as these two continue to battle side by side.
I like how Chad's not even trying to run the bottom. And Scott knows that he's not going to run the bottom. Chad's like a lane and a half up, and Scott's giving him that room.
Chad's just trying to run Scott. That's all I see right now. These two are racing real hard. No room given. Little slight contact here just about, as they are not giving each other any space.
If I was Scott at this point, I might just let him go, get behind him, and give him a little bump, try to send him down into a corner. Pass him. Because you're not going to be able to pass him without getting wrecked or ran up, so...
Jeff Green, Gerald Campbell both come down pit road here. Jeff was just up there in the top 10 or 11 with these guys. So pit stops, I believe, are underway here.
Are they both going to come to pit road together? Is that what that... Oh, no, I guess not.
Yeah, it kind of looks like it with the camera, but they are definitely not down pit road yet as they fly by the pit exit. Also, Gerald Campbell did not get any damage repaired on that number 31 machine, as he had a fairly quick pit stop.
Yeah, I'm curious how far these guys are going to go.
I think they're going to try to run it dry, actually, as we say that R.C. Anderson slides on the pit road. Jake Kaner right behind him. So these guys coming down pit road here.
Well, if I do recall, and we have the driver here if it's not correct, I believe Josh Adams pitted pretty early last year in this race in the championship when this was the final race and caught a caution on the other side of pit stops, which helped him retain the lead and not have to give that back. So, Josh, what do you think here for the strategy?
Fody coming down pit road.
Oh
no! He just hit Brandon Ultra. Oh no.
It is clear on the 40 car as far as black flag.
Yeah, but the one thing I'd be worried about is yeah, you can see some nose damage on the right front here. The hood separated from the fender, so that could make things a little interesting for Fody.
Yeah, I think he had enough of a lead to where he might be able to maintain, but I don't think he's going to have the speed when he gets back out there.
No, it's definitely going to affect the handling of that machine. Tate Lytle, David Tooker come down pit road. Matthew
Boys, I'm going to tell
Weeks,
you
now
what,
the race leader.
these two, the 90 and the 15, they are having words again, and I think there was just about something that happened on the three right there. I mean,
we can back that up here. Take a look, see what happened. Yeah, a little bit of contact there. As you can see, Scott Crump.
Oh, last time off of 4, boys. Lap 62 off of 4. Get you a look at that.
We'll back that up even further then. Off of turn 4. Oh, yep. Scott Crump got the wall there.
I believe he got help.
Oh! Oh! He definitely had help. Yeah, this isn't over, guys. This is something we're going to have to follow all night, as these two are actually taking a little break from each other. Kwame Scott, Chad Frankenfield down pit road. Dustin Durham, Michael Goodman. This hands the race lead to Matthew Weeks, comes down pit road now. Trey Holmes is going to take over the race lead here with just Scott Crump and Michael Hosack as the remaining 3 out here on the track. Actually, Crump comes down as well. So Holmes and Hosack with Fody and Anderson right there as well. A fair bit
Josh,
back,
what is
30
your,
seconds.
What's your take there on what transpired there between 15 and 90? That last part.
You know, we get a lot of instances. I know it's a big thing in the conversation last week about wrecks under caution and what have you, but when it's affecting what's going on under green, it has a potential to affect other guys. At what point does somebody step in and say enough is enough and you bring those guys down to pit road?
Absolutely, Josh. You're incredibly correct on that. Michael Hosack was going to be the race leader. He comes down pit road. Tyler Fody momentarily will be the race leader once again, with R.C. Anderson in second, Jake Kaner third, and Tate Lytle there in fourth. Actually, Tate Lytle just makes a pass on Kaner. These guys are battling here for what will be the third position. Now it is. David Tooker
Boys,
also in the battle.
You can't script this any better, boys. After pit stops, the 90 and the 15 are still pretty close.
Yeah, Chad Frankenfield just ahead of Tyler Pop, with Scott Crump on the bumper of Pop here, so things may pop off momentarily once Crump does get back to Frankenfield. We are past halfway in this thing with about 55 laps remaining here at Nashville. So I do not believe that we will go caution-free once Crump and Frankenfield get back together here within the next few laps. Tyler Fody is back out front. We'll see if that damage on the right front has a big effect on the handling of that 40 machine. Tyler Fody does have the speed, but will the car maintain that pace?
I'm for one, I was really surprised that they came down as early as they did. Well, I guess that was about right.
They were past halfway, Chris, when they did come down, so they went longer in the first part than the second part here. So if they were handling just fine, it shouldn't be too much of an issue. It's Trey Holmes coming back down pit road here. I believe he had a penalty perhaps on that 88 machine, so unfortunate for him. But I think it was good timing for those pit stops.
Scott Crump cannot get around this 13 either.
No, Scott Crump, and if he's angry, he's not going to be afraid to move the 13 out of the way to get there, too. So I think we're going to have to keep an eye on Crump as he's diving it in now to the inside
There
of the 13.
we go. Tyler said, go ahead, boys.
Yeah, Tyler doesn't want to be part of this. He's just out here for fun at this point.
Speaking on the damage on the 40, looks like he's outrunning the 50 car of R.C. Anderson, but I think the guy that we're watching that's really beating him lap time wise is the 2 of Tate Lytle.
Yeah, as you can see up there on the scoring pylon, Tyler Fode's last lap was a 31.18 to Tate Lytle's 31.04. Matthew Weeks was actually the quickest on track there just a few moments ago, 30.91. So Weeks also has a bit of pace there to get up there, but he's got some
aren't
work
they
to
on
do.
a little bit fresher tires than Fode? Like that, they'll be faster than him the rest of the race, but can they get there with the amount of time left?
That's the big question for sure, Chris. Obviously, a lot of work will have to be done to get up there. I mean, Weeks is almost 9 seconds back. Lytle 4.5. I think Tate can do it if he has the opportunity to, but that's a big ask for sure with only 40 laps remaining here at Nashville.
Yeah, not to mention some of the traffic too. Tate's working through some more traffic right now that he's, that our leader worked through already.
Yeah, like our last lap, Tate's working through that traffic. He just beat Tyler Fode by a half a second.
Tate pitted on lap 65. When did Fode make his pit stop? Fode made his pit stop on 63, so that's a couple lap fresher tires. We shall see if he can get there.
Yeah,
It'll be real interesting.
I've Tate on 63, Fode on 62. So only about a lap difference. Not too big. It looks like things are actually getting interesting here with Brandon Ultra.
Looks like Ultra just went straight down to 3 there for a second.
Yeah, David Tucker on his inside, Josh Smith behind. We'll take another quick gander at the battle that we've been watching all night long. Yeah, it's not really too much of a battle at all. Scott Crump way behind Chad Frankenfield now.
Yeah, you have to wonder if that last hit really did some damage to that 90 car.
That was a big hit. That was a big hit, as you can see some lap traffic just ahead of Tyler Fode here. That is Alexander Gray in the 81 machine. But yeah, that was definitely a large hit for Crump and Frankenfield both. But I think Crump may have got a bit more of that damage than Chad.
Yeah, Scott kind of put himself in that spot there. Now, the initial contact, I think that was just racing. I don't think Scott was trying to drive through him. I don't think, you know what I mean? It was just, that was a racing deal. But after that, when it was pretty clear that Chad wasn't going to let him get around him without some severe contact, I think at that point you got to just drive that guy down into a corner, jack him up, get him up out of the groove, and drive away from him. Because at that point, Scott's car was obviously better than Chad's, but he's trying to make it past, trying to make it past him clean and paid the ultimate price for it there off of 4.
Absolutely, and I will point out that Tate Lytle has shred about a second off the lead from Tyler Fode. Now only 3.5 seconds back, 3.3 now. As Tate Lytle's got a bit of pace in that number 2 machine, but does he have the time to get there?
Yeah, it'll be real interesting if he can get there or not. It's, we don't know how hard Fode's pushing. We don't know if he's saving a little. We don't know how hard Tate's pushing, or RC, or any of these guys right here. So that'll become clearer in about 10 laps or so. We'll see what guys have and what kind of pace they're able to run when they start closing in on each other.
And we also have the unknown of if we do get a caution, what is going to happen when these guys come down, take tires, and re-rack and restack it all together. It could make things a bit interesting out there.
Starting to look like things have maybe leveled out with those guys' tires. They're all running like identical lap times right now. Yeah,
it is looking much closer, like you mentioned, Josh. As you can see, actually, Tate Lytle and Tyler Fode basically running identical lap times the last time by 5.1 and a 5.2. So definitely not too much of a difference there between those guys.
So the question becomes then, can we run these last, 20 some laps without a caution?
Yeah, 33 laps remaining here at Nashville. Caution free so far, but these guys like to ramp up the aggression level late in these things and bring out a few yellows so they can use up those green-white checkers. But I don't know, Chris. What do you think?
Well, I don't think we're going to get just one caution. I think we'll either get no cautions or a bunch of them.
Yeah,
We all know how this goes. You know, we've all been here, you and Josh and myself racing these races, and we know that if a race goes like this, it's either going to go green or we're going to get just caution after caution after caution.
Absolutely. If we do get a caution, they're definitely going to come like dominoes. It'll be interesting to see if we do get any, and if we do, how many we get. Because if these guys wait a little too long, I do think we'll be using up every single green-white checker that we have available.
What do you think, Josh? What are the odds we go caution-free, and what are the odds we get 3 or more?
Well, I'd say it's getting pretty late, so 3 or more, I think it's still pretty good. You know, we've all been here, but I'd say the odds probably aren't great. We go caution-free, but I think it looks like it's going to.
And I will say this, if we get a caution and it is not the 90 and the 15, we're guaranteed at least one more caution because those two are going to restart right next to each other.
I do want to just quickly point out Harrison Talon has just recently joined the scoring pylon. He is 73 laps down, just starting the race in the last 8 laps. Quite an interest as he hits the wall. So we may get a yellow out of him shortly.
I venture to say there will be some upset people if that car brings out the yellow.
Yeah, I would say so. As actually looking at it, Josh should be able to still beat Harrison Talon, even though Harrison is out there right now. Just considering how late Harrison decided to start his race.
I'm not sure that whoever's over track or whatever here shouldn't maybe park that car because there's nothing for him to be racing for at this point this late. What are your guys' opinion on somebody joining the session here this late?
Well, I mean, we don't know what caused that to happen. So, as long as he's not out here in the way, let him go. If he causes that caution, I'd say park him immediately. But I think he's good to race.
Yeah, I agree with Josh on that. I mean, if it is a cause of caution, then definitely something that needs to be looked at. But if he's just out there turning laps and staying out of the way, then I see no issue with that.
We got the Goody Christmas cars running together here.
Yeah, we got a lot of plaid right here. Michael Goodman, Dustin Dewar, Jake Kaner. He's looking very Christmassy in that number 9 machine. I love that paint scheme right there. Looks like it took a lot of time to do. That's actually
if there was some writing on that
fifth
said,
right there.
Ryan Gavel Designs or something. That looks like something Gavel would do. Just hasn't had a chance to write on it yet.
No, those numbers are way too fancy to be Ryan Gavel numbers on that number 9 machine. Ryan does not own a highlighter. He only owns a little bit of white tape, and that's about it.
Yeah, I believe he had a car entered in the Snowball Derby, it looked like out there.
You talking about the one that went for a swim?
There was one that was posted, and it looked like something that he designed on iRacing.
Yeah, if you're talking about the one with the little tiny number 8s on the side.
I can't remember. I just remember him talking about it, and it being a big talk here in the driver group chat that Gavel had a car there. Snowball Derby.
I do believe it is.
That was Gavel? I thought it looked like a Ryan Lutz paint scheme. Am I allowed to say that name on here?
Sure.
I don't. Why not?
I don't know what the FCC regulations or whatever they call go on with Elite.
Just to quickly point out, R.C. Anderson now just below 1.5 seconds behind Tyler Fody. So he's cutting into that lead a little bit each lap. But yeah, back to you, Josh.
Yeah, that's kind of happened all within the last couple of laps. He was taking some time out, and then Fody had put it back on. I was really watching RC, and he was overdriving it a little bit in turn 1, and that's where he was losing his time. It looks like he's settled back in. He's really hitting turn 1 pretty good and putting together some pretty good lap times. I think he might be able to catch him here.
Yeah, there's not a huge difference, but yeah, definitely going to be interesting to see.
Those two are the only two that are pretty much locked into the playoffs, so this really has no effect on the playoffs unless Tate Lytle can get up there.
Yeah, Tate Lytle is just about a second behind R.C. Anderson, but he's going to probably need one of those cautions that we were talking about to have a shot at Tyler Fode. Obviously, anything can still happen, but I think Tate's going to need a little bit of a miracle at this point to be able to snag that victory.
Yeah, and it looks like Chad is still putting distance on Scott, so for anybody who's thinking that's going to be the caution right now, they are just way too far apart for anything to come of that.
Yeah, there's nearly a straightaway, about 3 seconds between the 15 and the 90. As you can see, Tyler Fode now just behind Wyatt Knadel. It's going to put the Potato Man 1 lap down here.
But you know what's exciting? We're going to Bristol next week, and Scott Crump and Chad Frankenfield are going to be mad at each other.
We are indeed going to Bristol next week. That should make things rather interesting. And you also have to remember the night before in the Truck Series, we're going to be at Talladega. So we're going from one of the biggest tracks to one of the smallest tracks. And tempers can flare over at both of those places big time. And it might make things a little interesting on Monday.
Yeah, and we're going to have to pump some life into this too, because you got the 90 and you got the 15. They're going to Bristol, mad at each other. They both got together running top 3 tonight, lost all that track position. So when they get to Bristol next week, they're already going to be mad. This rivalry is going to be blossoming because they'll also be racing for the final playoff spot, more than likely. One of them will be able to get in and one of them won't unless they both wreck.
Yeah, you're 100% correct on that. That definitely adds a little bit more drama to follow along next week at Bristol. A track that already comes with its own built-in drama, which will make things very fun to follow along here on the Elite Racing Network next Monday night.
All I'm saying, boys, is could you imagine the fireworks if they get together on the last lap and the one who comes out on top makes the playoffs and the other guy doesn't?
That would definitely make for a little bit of an excitement, especially on the radio, as those two probably exchange a few words.
No chance.
It depends on how fast Ethan Reasoner hits that chat disable button.
That is definitely true as well. He is rather quick to do so if needed. As that lead is still 1.3 seconds between Tyler Fode and not David Tooker, that's R.C. Anderson, the other road course guy, with 1.25 seconds now. I don't know if this is something that RC can get now with the tires as old as they are. As you see just ahead of Tyler Fode, that is Harrison Talon. He's about 105 laps down right now in the 51 machine.
And make that 106 after that.
Yeah, Harrison Talon, 74 laps down. He took a little bit of a nap, I'm assuming, or he delivered some DoorDash in that number 51 machine. But, I just mentioned a second ago it was 1.3 seconds. Now RC's got it hovering around that 1 second mark, so RC Anderson's coming.
Yeah, I think it's all about how you catch these lap cars and working the traffic, how cautious you're going to be.
The one
right
thing
now,
I would
expect being careful.
Absolutely. The one thing I would expect, as we see here, Harrison Talon gets far out of the way for RC Anderson, one of his affiliates here, so making things a little easier for RC. Now that lead dips below 1 second for Tyler Fode over RC Anderson with 16 laps remaining here at Nashville Superspeedway. Things are heating up here. But Chris, just before we do get into any sort of battle, why don't we give another shout out to our presenting partners here before we get too late in this event?
Yeah, we want to give a shout out to everybody at the Elite Racing Network. Dave, of course, for taking care of everything we need here to put these broadcasts, off without a hitch. Most of the time, every once in a while, there's a little mess up there, but it's usually not Dave's fault. So give a shout out to him. Everybody at Mrs. Goody's Goodies. They have hooded towels and handmade items for babies, kids, you, and your home, and you can find them on Facebook today. Of course, they are the presenting sponsor, Mrs. Goody's Goodies Grand National Series. TA Services, for over 36 years, they've been a trusted domestic and international full-service third-party logistics provider offering freight brokerage, managed transportation, warehousing fulfillment, and cross-border logistics services to shippers around the globe. Blue Egg Marketing, small business owners, Blue Egg is your biggest fan, and Britzy Cam. Britzy is a venture-backed tech company based in Toronto and Boston, and they're on a mission to reimagine the group photo experience.
Back out on track, Tyler Fode having a great experience right now, continuing to lead as they come to 13 laps to go here at the Nashville Superspeedway. 0.78 seconds is the difference between first and second now, as you can see that gap visibly shrinking between these two. RC Anderson just behind Tyler Fode here, as I do believe there's a few more lap cars not too far ahead that might make things a little interesting here. Actually, it looks fairly clear.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think there's anybody out there that they're going to get to that's not already a lap down outside of Scott Crump might get caught here at some point.
Yeah, looks like Crump has about a quarter straightaway lead over these two. So I don't know that they'll catch.
Now, Chris, last season in the championship race, I was in Fode's position. I knew he had a little bit better tires than me behind, and I knew I had to run perfect laps. Yeah, what are you thinking if you're him? I know you're his teammate on the Cup side. Do you think he's locked in running perfect laps right now, or do you think he's got that 50 in his head at this point now that they're just 7/10 apart?
I would venture to say that Fode's biggest concern is a caution. Everybody pitting, 4 tires, 2 tires, what's the call? I would have to say right now Fode is probably feeling like he's pretty comfortable. He's very good at managing his tires, not using them up, saving a little bit of tire. I'm sure he's got plenty left right now if RC were to make a big run and get there. So I don't think it's in his head. The only thing he doesn't want to see is a caution at this point. I would guess he feels like he's got it. There's no caution.
10 laps to go. We still have not had a yellow. Hoping that it stays that way and these guys can go green to the end and put on a real show as they've done so far tonight. That lead kind of staying the same at about 7 to 8 tenths of a second between Fode and Anderson. I think the tires have really evened off here, and there's no real gain for either of these guys at this point, as it does look like they're just going to ride it out.
I will tell you this, though. I think if we get a chance to interview RC and Tate and they finish second, third, they are going to tell us, you know what, if we'd have qualified better, because they started 24th and 26th, they're going to say, we probably lost this thing by qualifying where we did. But that just shows you how important qualifying and track position can be.
It is very important, but to counter that point, Chris, I think I qualified, 13th? Tate started one row behind me on the outside, so he was really about 15th or so, 16th, starting off.
Well, I see 24th and 26th.
Yeah, there's a lot of cars that went to the back.
A lot of VOLs, that's for sure. The one thing to point out is just ahead of the race leader, you can see some lap cars once again. Tyler Fode gets a piece of the wall right there. The number 40 machine. As I was mentioning, Brandon Key just ahead. Hit a few more lappers there as well. Key moves out of the way. Makes things a little easy here for Tyler Fode. RC Anderson just hoping he can get a little bit of that draft and hopefully run him down here. 6 tenths of a second, 7 tenths now is the gap between these two. It may get a little interesting here with 6 laps remaining at the Nashville Superspeedway. Brandon Key grabs a bit of the wall there right ahead of RC Anderson, scaring RC a little bit.
Yeah, what Fode did off of 4 last lap is exactly what RC wants to see.
Yeah, but at this point, RC is going to need to gain more than what he's got right now. Like, Fode got away with one. He got a little scare there, got out there, maybe touched it with just the right rear.
As you can see, 5 laps remaining at Nashville Superspeedway in the Nashville 150. Scott Crump just ahead of our race leader, Tyler Fode. Scott currently running in the 12th position, so that just shows how quick these leaders are and the advantage they got from that pit strategy is actually you can see Tyler Fody pulling away a little bit now, and he is just building a nice gap, hoping that we do not see a caution in these last 4.5 laps.
Yeah, at this point, RC would need multiple tenths of a second here, just about every lap.
Yeah, he ran about the worst 1 and 2 I've seen him run last lap. Really hurt him.
We'll see 3 to go at the line. We'll see how much of a fight Scott Crump decides to put up.
Doesn't look like much at all as he lets Tyler Fody go on by. Scott Crump knows he's having a rough night. See him getting out of the way here for RC as well. Like you mentioned, Chris, 3 laps to go here at Nashville. Scott Crump sliding up though. Just about grabs a piece of that wall.
Almost 7 tenths of a second, coming to 2 to go.
If this stays green, I do believe Tyler Fody should have this rather easily now. But you never know. We still may see that yellow. 2 laps to go at Nashville. Battle still on for 3rd between Tate Lytle and David Tooker. These guys doing a nice job, up 21 and 19 positions respectively. It's Tyler Fody coming around to see that white flag.
I think if RC goes back and looks at what he did there with 2 to go in turn 1, he'd probably wish he did that a few more times because he really killed the 40, but he's going to run out of time.
Yeah, just 1 lap to go.
Chad Frankenfield has re-entered the top 10
the
there.
03s here force Fody have to check up, but I think he's going to be all right. Going through 3
gonna
and
make
4.
one last run at it.
Coming through 3 and 4, coming off of 4, it's going to be Tyler Fody. He's going to win race 2, just as he won race 1. RC will lock into the playoffs officially now with his P2 because there's no way he's going to lose 70 points in one race. And Tate Lytle comes home in 3rd with Tooker and Weeks rounding out the top 5.
Fahmy Scott, Jake Kaner, Garrison Hogan, Jeff Green, and Chad Frankenfield rounding out the top 10 here tonight. Nice run by Jesse Erasmus as well, just outside the top 10, and actually rounding out the lead lap finishers in 11th. As you can see, Tyler Fody getting some congratulatory bumps from the Pro Edge guys here, as Tyler put on a show here tonight.
Yeah, and here real quick before we talk to the winners and 2nd and 3rd here, I believe, do you have a commercial for us there, Robert?
Absolutely. Let's send it over to our friends at TA Services and hear what they can do for you.
And welcome back, as Fody's still celebrating.
And we had Chad just ask Scott for an apology in the game chat. I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, I had to leave before it blew up in my ear trying to give these interviews. I didn't need that going on behind me trying to listen to what was going on.
Yeah, he said, let me know when you want to apologize.
I can almost assure you that there's going to be no apology given, as we do have RC Anderson sitting in the waiting room here, our runner-up tonight. I don't see Tate Lytle yet, but why don't we go ahead and pull up RC and discuss his 2nd place finish here, Chris?
All right, we're joined by RC here in the booth. RC, you maybe could have qualified a little better and gave yourself a better shot there. I don't know if that's what you're thinking after that caution-free race, but nonetheless, a solid night. Great P2. Maybe could have had the race win, a few more laps, but you locked yourself into the next round, championship race. Officially, you and Fody are now locked in. So take us through your night, and if you are looking past Bristol just yet.
I'm definitely glad I got locked in because Bristol is not my track at all. I always stink there, so it's I'm glad to be locked in beforehand. But yeah, I had a really good qualifying lap going. I tapped the wall, and so my lap time didn't count, and I don't have the highest I rating ever for the ovals, so I had to start dead last. But I had Tate back there with me. I had Tooker back there with me, so I think a lot of people had the same mistake. I think if I would have qualified top 5, I think I would have had a chance to drive away with the win. But that's just kind of how it goes. I've had plenty of qualifyings where I tap the wall, don't get a qualifying run in. Now you got to fight your way up from the back. Fortunately, this was the track to do that. It wasn't a short track or anything like that where it's tough to pass. We were able to push our way to the front pretty easily, and then kind of just chasing down Fody the entire time.
Yeah, absolutely. You did give it your all there, trying to run down Tyler Fody. Obviously, we went green flag to flag tonight, but how were you managing your tires maybe a little bit differently than everyone else to have that advantage towards the end of this thing, to be able to gain about 2 seconds on Tyler Fody within the last 20 or so laps?
I think I was just doing a different method. It might have been a little bit of brake bias, running a little more rear brake bias, get the car to rotate on the way in on the brake. But just try not to turn the wheel too much. It was almost impossible to burn off the right rear. So if I was just backing up my entries um, with rear bias and backing it up a little bit, not pushing the car wide, and then just waiting for the car to get down to the apron before I apply power. Just try not to slide the car too much. And I wasn't losing pace doing it, and I just seemed to be able to save that right front a little bit better. I think if I would have done a slightly better job, or maybe pitted a little earlier, or later, might have had a shot there. But I ended up pushing a little too hard those last 10 laps. The right front started to burn off, and I just knew then it was like, man, this is gonna be tough to get to him, let alone pass him. So yeah, just looking forward to Bristol next week. That's gonna be fun. I'm terrible there, so it should be exciting.
So at what point do you start thinking about the championship race and maybe turning laps there to prepare? Are you going to wait until the new build comes out, or are you going to go ahead and start turning laps now?
I think I'm just gonna wait for practice. Auto Club seems to be one of my better tracks. I know it's a really good track for Tyler too, and then Tate's also really fast there. So it's those mile and a halfs where I'm really close with those guys, and it's gonna be an interesting race. But I'll probably just wait for whatever the builds that's gonna come out, or just a normal practice session. But Bristol, just go enjoy myself, have fun, and look forward to the championship race.
All right, RC, before we let you go, anybody you want to thank, sponsors you want to shout out?
Yeah, of course, Rayco Machine Engineering Group. They're on all my cars. We were in the chase for every single series for the C, B, and A series. I think we're out of the C series. I missed too many races, but we're in the A. We're in the B. The A is going to be tough. I think I'm going to be gone these next two Wednesdays, so I might be out of that one too. So I think this one's going to be the one where I need to focus on trying to win the championship. Kind of happens like that to me every year, but yeah, no, you guys up here in the booth, you guys are doing an awesome job. Chad, who runs the league, and then Pro Edge Racing, of course, and JD Designs.
All right, RC, congrats on your second place run, and good luck here at Bristol getting your popcorn ready. I think we're going to see a show next week based on some things that happened tonight that, of course, you heard the goings on out there. So good luck in Bristol, and good luck there with Tyler and yourself being locked in Fontana and seeing who the other two are that you get to race for a championship.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
That was RC Anderson, our runner-up here tonight. We do have Tate Lytle now, our third place finisher, so let's go ahead and bring him in now to discuss his third place run.
Well, we are now joined by Tate Lytle. Tate, it was a crazy race tonight, but it went caution free. You ended up there getting third place, so take us through your night, what you're thinking about heading into Bristol. Is your points racing there for that final, well, those final two spots? It's RC and Tyler Fody are already locked in.
Yeah, I mean, Bristol's not the most ideal place, but I mean, all we can do is go try and not get wrecked and hope that we can stay in front of Garrison, Chad, and Crump. I think if my math is right, gonna be about 2 points behind Crump in fourth, and then handful ahead of Chad and Garrison. So, I mean, we control our own destiny as long as we don't end up finishing too horrible. But that incident between Chad and Crump definitely helped us points wise there.
Yeah, are you going to do what you can to keep that alive this week? Maybe kill 2 birds with 1 stone when you get to Bristol?
I don't think I got to do anything, to be honest.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I think they're going to take care of that. It might come down to a race between Tate and Garrison for that last spot. They'll probably just take each other out of it. They didn't come to a conclusion here after the race.
Yeah, I left, so I didn't have to listen to it while I was talking to you guys. But yeah, they're an interesting duo for sure. Both very fast, but definitely 2 guys that similar personalities, just close enough to where it's hard for them to get along. So, and very similar racing styles as well. I feel like most of the time they kind of expect the other guy to lift out of the way, and when you get 2 guys that are like that, it's someone's gonna hit someone. And I think that's what we saw tonight. I was just watching the replay, but that definitely gonna help us in the points. Hopefully we can point our way in and go race RC and Fody. I feel like the 3 of us have kind of been up at the front a lot this season, especially toward the end of the season. And with Auto Club's probably one of my favorite tracks, and it's got to be one of Fody's favorite tracks. And RC is good everywhere, so I think that track would really put on a good show between the 3 of us and someone else if I'm able to make it into the Final 4 next week. But got to thank old Brent Wentz, days gone by, for everything he does for me and the league. Go check him out on Twitter and on Etsy, his Etsy store. Shout out to Open Wheel Racing Jobs for the ride this weekend or this Friday, and the 85 Elite Racing Indy 500. Make sure you check that out. Shout out to Chad. I don't know why he puts up with all of us, but he seems to enjoy it. So I don't know if him and Krupp will come to a conclusion. I doubt it, but it seems like it's every week with him. Let's see, looking at the points right now. Crump's gonna be plus 15. I'm gonna be plus 10, and then Chad and Hogan are both minus 10 and 11. So unless Latham, which Latham's perfectly capable of going and winning at Bristol, and so's Ethan and Gerald. So just gotta hope one of those 3 don't win, and we can outpoint Crump a little bit. But yeah.
Well, real quick, Tate, before we let you go, you mentioned days gone by. I'm not sure if this has been announced yet, but I believe they are coming back, and they are going to sponsor championship races again here in Elite in a couple weeks. So you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, Brent always sponsors Champions Week. We've been fortunate enough to park at least 1 days gone by, or actually 2 days gone by cars or trucks per season the last 2 seasons. So I don't know if we'll quite keep that streak going, but I'd like to park at least one of them just to give the Days Gone By name a trophy during Days Gone By Champions Week. But seriously, you guys, if you're still listening to this, go check out Days Gone By on Twitter or Instagram, and he's got his Etsy page linked in there. Lots of super cool vintage racing apparel. Yeah, if you're still listening to me talk right now after a fake race, I feel like you owe it to yourself to go check it out. But before I peace out of here, shout out to Fody. He's kind of on a roll right now. Hopefully, don't talk him up too much. I don't need his head getting too big before the championship races here coming up. But yeah, bad time for him to get on a hot streak.
Yeah, you guys kept him down for most of the season, and then he finally won 1, and now it's spiraled into 2. And
yeah, I mean, he's good. That's about all he's a guy. He's gonna make you earn it every time. So gotta have people in the league like that. I think people probably look at the standings in our league and are like, oh, I could go in there because you got Fody with like a 3,300 I rating, and then RC with like a 2,000 I rating, and they're like totally capable of having like 6,000, 6,500 I ratings. I bet people look at that and they're like, oh, what about your weaklings? No, dude, no.
And
Opposite
then they
of
come
that.
and run one Martinsville race, and like, why did I even sign up for this?
Yeah. Yeah, so
That is
shout out
very
those
true.
two. Fun to race. I couldn't save my right front to save my you know what tonight, but at least I was able to be best of the rest, and hopefully next couple weeks we can be the best of the best.
All right, Tate. Good luck at Bristol next week, and hopefully you can get a chance to lock yourself in because we want to see the best guys out here, of course, racing for a championship. So we'd like to see you add your name to that list next week. So good luck.
Thanks, guys. Shout out to Bobby and Dave. I know you guys ain't talking a whole lot, but peace out, boys. Now your race winner, Tyler Fody.
Well, there it is. There was the introduction for Tyler
Now
Fody.
your race winner, Tyler Fody. Yep.
Yeah, what a great introduction there by Tate Lytle. Tyler, you might not know it, but there was some craziness going on behind you there through the middle portion of that race. But for you, it was just an easy Sunday drive. Take us through your night. I think the only scare you had was coming to pit road. So tell us about how it was driving that 40 car tonight.
It's Monday, Chris.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Tyler.
It's Monday, but we're on a Sunday drive. That's what
Sunday
he
was
on.
yesterday, man.
I don't know, dude. It was going pretty smooth up until the pit stops, and I about had a heart attack there. I guess I misjudged it a little bit, getting on a little hot, which I would have made it had the lap car not been there. But we were both entering at our own speeds, and I don't know if he saw me coming, but yeah, I mean it was like millimeters between getting the front end taken off. But other than that, yeah, it was pretty smooth sailing. I got the pole, which I didn't expect after seeing RC and Tate in practice, but having talked to them, I guess RC hit the wall and Tate was like 100 feet short of the line coming to the checkered there. So they both ran out of time, which is why they had to start in the back, fortunately, for me, because I think RC probably had the best car long run. Had he been starting up here with me, and Tate and I probably would have had a good battle. But all in all, I mean, that's why you got to do the whole thing, qualifying and race. So we'll take it. RC definitely had me sweating, though. I think I had a tire advantage on him, but I was limping a little bit of right front damage. I don't know how much that actually affected me, but I mean, he was coming fast. So just trying to get through the lap traffic. Some of those guys were being really helpful, just letting me go. So appreciate that. But yeah, happy to get in victory lane again.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously tonight was a dominating performance by you, leading all but 5 laps, which definitely feels good for you heading into Bristol next week, and then the championship race in a few weeks. So now for you, obviously there is Bristol next week, but are you thinking ahead to that championship race? Like, are you getting ready to start testing there? Have you started testing there? And how are you feeling heading into that championship round?
Well, I won't disclose any of the stuff about the championship race, but I am looking forward to the Bristol race. It's always
What's your lap times?
track.
What's your strategy?
I've always loved Bristol, so I'm happy to be going there next week, and I like Auto Club also. So it's a good couple races. I am a little bit superstitious though I'm worried that I may be peaking a little too early. So hopefully this doesn't come all crashing down at the final race. But no, I'm looking forward to the next 2 races, and hopefully we can keep the momentum going.
Yeah, and so are you even worried about Bristol? You just going to show up and let what happens happen, or are you going to try to go out there and sweep the round?
Well, I think sweeping the round would be pretty cool. I think winning the last 4 races in a row would be even cooler. So that's what we're going to be trying to do, but all within reason, obviously. A lot can happen at Bristol, and I don't want to make anyone too upset before we go into the last race.
Well, before we let you jump out of here and celebrate your win, are there any sponsors you want to thank, shout-outs you want to give?
Yeah, just Blue Egg Marketing for always being on the car, and KMP Graphics for painting all the schemes this season. Really like how they came out. And then shout out to you guys also for being up in the booth.
All right, Fody, congrats on the win, back-to-back wins, and good luck at Bristol. Good luck going and winning trying to win a championship at Fontana.
Yeah, appreciate it.
It was Tyler Fody, your race winner, Chris. He sounds like he's He's kind of thinking ahead to that championship race, but he doesn't want to get too far ahead of himself.
Yeah, and like you said, winning the last 4 in a row would be pretty cool. So I think he's going to try to do that as well. But I think the guy in here is pretty good at Bristol that joined us tonight for the second half of the race. Josh Adams might have something to say about sweeping the round next week. What do you think, Josh?
I would like to think that I'll be a factor next week, but um, like we talked about, short tracks and elite, they don't go well together. And I've gotten wrecked in just about every other race, so I'll definitely be around at the end to take 2 tires or no tires or something and run 50 laps, caution to the end, and see if I can steal one.
And before we wrap this up, Robert, what do you take away from tonight? It looks like we've got us a little rivalry starting out here between 2 chasers who are going to be going into the final race of the round trying to lock into the chase. You think, and Josh, if you want to give an opinion on this too, you can. Do you think that they're going to be able to wrap this up here before we get to Bristol next week, or do you expect to see this carry over to next Monday?
I definitely expect this to carry over to next Monday at Bristol, and especially Bristol being a track that's as small as it is, and it just invites the aggressive nature of drivers. And with these two already heated heading into a race where they both really need to maximize on their points, I think it's going to make it an interesting show for those at home, and the other drivers on track are definitely going to want to keep an extra eye on those two to make sure that they aren't getting caught up in anything that really had nothing to do with them.
Yeah, I think the two of them. I think we've talked about it. Their personalities just kind of go up and get clash, go up against each other. Like neither of them likes to give an inch, and when that happens, side by side, something has to give. But if they want to, either one of them want to have a chance to make the final four, they'll put their differences aside and just race each other for that spot.
So, in your opinion, Josh, do you think they'll be able to do that?
Uh, Probably not, but I think we'd all like to see them go in there and just and race it, and let the, what is it, the fourth best driver, make it
Well,
clean.
they both could make it. There's a chance both of them could make it, but there's 2
Yeah, but I mean,
spots.
if they butt heads, then they're probably both gonna lose out on it, and they wouldn't deserve it then. So
Well, you know my theory on that, Josh. If you're going to try to end somebody's night, you better make sure you get their night ended. You don't need to be spinning them and then letting them get back to you, just like we saw tonight with Scott and Chad. The first contact was, I felt like just racing. Chad didn't feel that way. Chad stuffed him in the fence. Maybe Scott could have prevented that by just sending him deep down into a corner and driving away from him, but that's not what happened. So I think next week, what they both need to realize is that you better, if you're going to do something, you better make sure that other guy's night gets ended, because if it's not, you're, like you said, Josh, they're both going to miss out.
oh yeah, and if you go into Bristol trying to end one guy's night, you're probably gonna possibly end your night and about 10 other guys' nights. So, like I said, in the middle of the race, at what point do you just start parking people if they butt heads again next week?
Well, so that's the second time I've heard you say about other people getting involved. If they go out there and they get together and you get involved, how upset are you going to be if you get involved in something that happens because of the two of them?
I mean, like I said, I'm not racing for anything. I expect to go to Bristol and get wrecked, so it won't bother me unless maybe unless I'm leading the race and they take each other out, because they're upset and I get taken out of the lead or something. But
Yeah, I mean, if I was multiple laps down and I ended up getting caught up in an incident with those guys, I'd probably be thankful for them taking me out of my misery. But if I'm one of those playoff guys and I need to maximize my points as well, I'd probably be pretty vocal on the radio and likely get muted.
But as for tonight, it has came and went. We had the same winner. Nobody knew locked in. I mean, RC technically locked in tonight, but we both knew after last week it would have taken craziness to happen for RC to not lock in. So
Oh, for
Tyler
sure.
Fody wins it flag to flag at Nashville.
It's actually the second consecutive race in this series without a caution, so 223 consecutive laps under green.
Man, so that's where it'll stop is 223 because I don't think we'll get one lap next week without a yellow.
And I don't know how much more time we have, but I did see that Dustin Dewar got himself a severe damage penalty with the damage that I got when he hit the wall. And I'd like to say publicly, I think that's pretty dumb. Mega said that I blew my engine on pit road because of it. I blew my engine on pit road because I didn't tow. But a guy hitting the wall at a place like Nashville should not incur a severe damage penalty. Didn't even cause a caution. I parked it on my own.
Well, there you have it, straight from Josh Adams. Any final thoughts for you, Robert, before we wrap this thing up?
Just looking forward to Bristol next week and seeing what these guys can do for us. But I think that's it for me here tonight at Nashville.
Yeah, so on behalf of everybody at Elite Racing Network, everybody who helps make this thing happen, Chad Frankenfield, Dave Huckleberry, all of our great sponsors here, Mrs. Goody's Goodies, TA Services, Blue Egg Marketing, and Britzy Cam. We'd like to thank you for tuning in tonight. Tune back in Wednesday night to see the Cup Series live in action. Friday night, we have the Indy 500. We'll be having a special appearance that you're not going to want to miss, so make sure you tune in to catch that. And then next Monday night, we'll be back with you here live from Bristol. So until then, thanks for tuning in, and we will see you a week